Hey, thanks for joining me for football predictions and food and wine pairings. Now, tonight we have a great football game. It's going to be the 1-1 Detroit Tigers at Baltimore playing the 1-1 Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are a 4.5-point favorite, and I'm picking the Ravens tonight. Not just because they're a 4.5-point favorite, but because I feel like they looked more organized and in sync as a team than the Lions did. Even though they have the exact same record, the Lions looked terrible on the first week of the season, and it was a loss, and it was really embarrassing, and people were like, what's going on with them? Then they came back second week and they looked better, more organized. So I think tonight will be a real testament of like where they are in terms of a team. Now, the Ravens looked great in their one win, but they also lost one, but they did not lose in such an embarrassing fashion. So I think that they are more ready mentally for the games. Now, we're going to see a lot of great defense. Both these teams have great defenses, and they both have opportunity to have a really high-powered offense because they have quarterbacks with big arms who aren't afraid to throw them. The Lions quarterback through 2 games has, I have to check, 559 yards. And the Ravens quarterback through 2 games has 434 yards. I mean, there are quarterbacks who have now played 3 games that do not have this many yards yet. So unlike last week where I was expecting a terrible game and it turned out to be really interesting, this week expect a really good game. Okay, as I mentioned last time, we are currently in the middle of Hispanic Heritage Month, and I want to highlight wines that have come from Latin American countries and or that were produced by people of Latin American descent. And so today's wine is one that is technically from here in California, but it holds the distinction of being the first wine in the U.S. that was created on land that is owned by family of Mexican Americans that can trace their lineage back to the 1940s when their great granddad was a field worker in the same area. And so today's wine is Seven Brothers Cabernet Sauvignon 2023 by the Robledo family winery. Now, back in 1942, during the World War II, the U.S. had a program in place called the Bracero program. The U.S. needed men to work in the fields and also on railroads during this time because most of the men that were capable of doing this kind of work were off fighting the war. So the U.S. and Mexico set up a program where people could come from Mexico, work, they had guaranteed rights and things that they were entitled to, such as insurance, a living wage, decent housing, and then they would leave. Now, this program was in existence for 22 years, and some of this program is a direct correlation to like what we're dealing with in terms of our immigration program right now. The program was ended abruptly, and no plans were made for the people that were left behind. And since then, people have been hiring workers from other parts of the world and asking them to work illegally. And the only people being fined for that are not the people hiring them, but the people actually doing the work. So it's just like a huge mess. But the one good thing that came out of this was that Everaldo Robledo came back to the U.S., was here as a worker, brought some of his children. They all stayed. They petitioned to stay. They continued to work. Then his son married a lady from another family, and they went on to create this winery. So those 2 people are Ronaldo and Maria Robledo. And they first bought the land in 1984, and they opened the winery in 1997. So it's really very exciting to know that like this is truly the American dream, that like you can really make it happen, because it just happened for them not that long ago. All right, let's talk more about the wine. So this is a glass of oh my God, I can't even remember it. Sauvignon Blanc. And as you know, I really enjoy Sauvignon Blanc. So when we're looking in this glass, we're getting a really light color. And on the edges, it's actually clear. And a lot of times we're getting Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand or from Chile. And when you turn on the side, the edge is kind of green. And that will kind of reflect the grassiness or the vegetalness that are usually in those wines. Now, on the nose, I'm getting a lot of citrus. I'm getting white flower, a little bit of pineapple, and yellow peach. On the tongue, I'm getting hit with a little bit of sweetness right in the beginning, but that dissipates quickly because here comes the acidity. And I would say it's like a medium high to acidity because it's a little bit of a long finish. I'm also getting a lot of lime zest. I'm getting pineapple. And I'm getting a little bit of minerality here, you know. And it's really kind of an easy drinker. I took it out of the fridge and had it right when it came out of the fridge. It was entirely too cold. So if you get this wine, I want to say to you, take it out of the fridge and then let it sit for about 15 minutes and then it'll warm up and it'll actually be really nice. Now, I'm pairing that with kind of a snack because generally what happens on Monday and Thursday, I normally have lunch at 2 o'clock and the games start at 5. So I'm usually not exactly hungry, but I could go for a snack. And so today's snack is just a little plate. I'm trying to show it to you. What it is, it's like cheese and cracker combo, and it is cream cheese, goat cheese, roasted poblano with fresh chive and thyme, and I'm covering that with a little bit of hot honey. And when you're putting this, I mean, the cheese is super rich and luscious, and the acidity in this wine will really cut through that. Also, the sweetness of the honey gives a little bit of a boost to the first sweetness that you get when you're having this, and it's just really a great combination together. I'm gonna not eat this on camera because I want to keep talking and you don't want to see what's in my mouth. All right, let's recap it. First of all, go ahead and take the Ravens. Second of all, get a bottle of this wine, Seven Brothers Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Blanc. Oh my God, Sauvignon Blanc 2023. From Seven Brothers. I picked this one up at Costco. I saw online that you can get it between about $15 and $25. It's $25 on their website. And I think it's worth it. I think you should get it. Cheers.